live because essentially my phone's out of storage, so I'm going to have to get that addressed. But anyway, let's talk about this. So you can see the title if you clicked on this. I'll admit I did clickbait you a little bit by saying theme park chain because I'm talking about Enchant Christmas, which is something that takes over baseball stadiums. And depending on what you define as a theme park, you could say that Enchant Christmas is a seasonal theme park that's just set up for a time of the year. But anyway, let's get into the nitty-gritty. So I was an elf at Enchant Christmas. They fired me. Why did they fire me? Well, I'll just tell you the story of how I got fired, and I'll put some facts on the table, and I'll let you make up your mind. I'll say what I think, but I'm going to let you make up your mind. So, essentially, this started with, there was a day where I took off so that I could ensure that, hey, I'm going to have work after this contract is up. But it was like, okay, no biggie. But then the next day, I'm sent a text saying, oh, don't bother coming in today. We were able to give a few elves the day off, which I was a little bit mystified about. Not too happy about, because it's like, hey, I'm in the process of doing a big move, so, you know, since I'm doing that big move, it was like, you know, doing a move like that's expensive. So just telling me like that you're not going to give me the opportunity to make money is kind of unethical. But okay, I'll look past it. I go into work on the next day, and nothing overly suspicious happens. But then's when things really start to get real. They send out the schedule for the next week. My name is still on the schedule, but it's blacked out every single day, as in there's no call time listed for me. So essentially, it's like, what the heck? I'm not on the schedule. I didn't tell you that I wasn't available this weekend. Please put me on the schedule. And I sent that as a message to the manager of the whole thing. But essentially, oh yes, I will reply to some of the stuff I'm getting because this is live stream format. Yes, I am aware of that. That's a glitch from when I was in middle school and people would come on my videos to bully me. It's nothing to worry about. I try to make it so that you can comment on my videos, but anyway, getting back to the story about Enchant. So essentially, what they did was they just quietly didn't put me on the schedule. And then I reached out to the manager of the event basically saying like, hey, what the heck? I didn't tell you I wasn't available. Please put me on the schedule. Like that, basically. And then she responded, oh, I'm off today. Call this stage manager. So that's what I did. He tells me, oh, I'll talk to you tomorrow. I literally don't get a call, so I call him, the guy who I was told to call. And he's like, oh, well, we've made a decision. We take guest feedback very seriously. Your elf voice is creeping people out. We moved you and you were still creeping people out. You were creeping cast members out. None of that information was communicated with me before they made the decision. And they basically said, well, I'm telling you now. I'm telling you now, when I was getting mad at them for the fact that they fired me and being reasonably upset that, hey, a job that pays pretty good money dumped me for reasons that they never communicated with me. And it's just like, you know, what the heck? So, like, exactly, that is awful that they did this. So my theory about why they actually fired me is that a transphobic parent basically went to someone who was in charge that had clocked me as trans and was basically upset that, hey, their kid was exposed to a trans person when they were going to an event that in their mind was supposed to be celebrating the day of their Lord and their false Messiah. So, like, I mean, essentially, because of the fact that they did that, maybe perhaps they brought up some of the drag laws that are used against trans performers. Perhaps they mentioned one of those and mentioned that they were going to call in law enforcement or something. Something like that. Maybe there was something like that. My theory is that's what happened. And they decided they just didn't want to deal with it. And they couldn't say, oh, we're firing this person because they're trans. Because, well, that's illegal to fire someone because of a gender identity thing. That's not something that they're allowed to do. But what they can do is just quietly not put you on the schedule, hope you just quietly don't come in, and if you make a fuss about it, then they have time to come up with reasons why you were fired. And, like, I mean, the reasons that they came up with, I don't buy it for a second, because they straight up told me this isn't disciplinary action. We move people all the time. Yes, this happened this week. But basically, they said, hey, we do this all the time because we need these spots filled. When they moved me, they said nothing about the elf voice except slight positive feedback for it. And, like, I mean, the fact that they're giving me those things as reasons that they fired me, it's just ridiculous. So, I mean, I guess the reason that I'm making this video is to expose Enchant Enchant Christmas and their chain of things in various cities, including like St. Petersburg, Kansas City, Las Vegas, several others. Like there are a bunch of cities that they're operating out of. So they're a huge chain. They operate at baseball parks again. But I'm just doing this because I need to expose them for their practices. And, like, I mean, as someone who is a theme park nerd and would normally be making videos about stuff like Enchant, it's like, well, you need to see a video from an insider who's gonna tell you the truth about what those events are actually like. So that's the real reason that I'm making this video, because it's like they need to be exposed for what they're doing, and hopefully they won't treat their other elves like they have treated me. Another thing that I was told on the phone call is, like, it was implied that they mentioned that I wasn't going with Enchant's storyline for some reason, and, like, I mean, yes, I was. Like, their storyline was basically, you're just greeting guests, and I came up with a storyline for myself. Is it possible they thought it was too meta that I was saying, hey, I'm a real elf that's essentially on a journey to see the world and happened to stop through here? Did they think it was a little too meta that I elfified my own story as a backstory and basically acknowledged that the event was staffed by actors? Yeah, it's possible, but they never told me, hey, don't do that. They never told me that. In fact, the big stage manager who I mentioned that was too much of a coward to have the "you're fired" conversation with me, actually encouraged it, saying, well, real life always plays a role in these things. So, like, I mean, just to put into context the kind of people that run events like that run Enchant, like, I mean, I just needed to make a video about this because, I mean, I know that some in the theme park sphere might see that there's an Enchant in their city, and theme park enthusiast who has worked at theme parks before and was an employee at Enchant. I mean, I just needed to get this off my chest so that I could let the world know essentially how the sausage is made, if that makes sense. So, yeah, that's probably going to be the end of this live stream. And again, I mainly did this as a live stream because when I tried to record it in my phone was out of storage. So, yep, and surprise, and thank you for watching, and I will try to make the comments more something that's available. And yeah, I am going to do more live videos. I'm going to try to find some urbex stuff in the area that I'm in over the next couple months. Like, I mean, you're going to see a lot of cool urbex videos over the next couple months because, like I said, I'm on a big journey to see the world. Oh, thank you for saying this is one of your favorite channels that involves urbex. You're gonna see plenty of videos about it. There's a chance I'll actually go to the last Blockbuster as something on my journey because I am on a journey to see everything. Basically, I like the part of the reason I was doing the Enchant event in the first place actually is because, hey, I can basically do a stopover in in the Midwest basically and not have as long of a drive to do when the big move comes around, because the big move is going to be in late February and March. But yeah, I see we've got someone else in here. So yeah, like, I mean, this video has mostly been about my experience working at a, if you want to call it, a theme park chain with the Enchant Christmas stuff and how they wrongfully terminated me because likely literally just because I'm trans. So yeah, that's what this video has been about mostly. And I mean, I really hope that over the next couple months I'm able to find something that's able to bring my spirits up, because I mean, getting fired from a job is never easy, especially when it's something that you were having fun doing. And like, I mean, I mentioned that I did have that elf backstory. Getting the question of have I considered heading back to Breezewood to check out more old restaurants and gas stations. Well, I mean, I will say that I do have an old channel that was more urbex focused. It was actually my school channel, and I decided just to merge everything onto this channel basically. But yes, I've actually done the entire abandoned turnpike. So yeah, I've done that. I've been into the Perkins in Breezewood, just seeing that comment. And I've been inside of the Taco Bell as it was being converted to a foreign rug place. I love how a video that was supposed to be about exposing Enchant turned into essentially a live stream. But yeah, so oh yeah, that's right. I remember you commenting there. But yeah, essentially that channel was a channel with my school, and I didn't want to risk that channel was going to get eliminated and people wouldn't be able to find me. That was the main reason that I merged the channels together into this one. But like, now there's more, you get more stuff. I guess it kind of is similar to the whole urbex going on adventures to get stuff like, say, doing alpine coasters, for example. So, I mean, the way I do theme parks is definitely very different than most theme park channels. But, yeah, definitely a tough situation that I'm in, but with the whole getting fired thing, at least I have another job. But yeah, you're gonna see a lot of theme park stuff. You're gonna see a lot of urbex because I'm gonna be driving through the Rockies in I'm gonna be driving through the Rocky Mountains in February, so that's gonna be really fun. I have a ton of stops planned out for when I'm going through the Rockies. Any more abandoned theme parks on the agenda? Yes, Joyland and Wild West World in Wichita. I will be going to both of those places in February before I go out to the Rockies because that will be on my way, basically. So it's not that huge of a detour for me to go down south a little bit to go see those places. Joyland has actually been on my bucket list since I was like Lake Shawnee. That's in West Virginia. So it's going to be a while before I get there. I'm currently in Kansas. I'm going to be in I'm going to be in Kansas until mid to late February, and and then I'm gonna and then I'm gonna be going through. Then I'm gonna be going through the Rockies. So, but Lake Shawnee, I have heard of it, and I've thought about going there. I thought about going there when I did my coaster trip a couple years ago. That included going to Camden Park in West Virginia. I thought about stopping by Lake Shawnee, but I had to get back to my job on Monday. So that was, yes, I did film Holiday Lanes, and that bowling ball is currently that bowling ball, if you can believe it, and that bowling pin, they do they are currently in Pittsburgh, actually, at my parents' house. So so part of a small part of Holiday Lanes still exists, although I would not be surprised if my parents end up throwing it away since I'm yeah, but I don't live there anymore, but since I'm no longer with them, I imagine they're going to be throwing it away at some point. So, and I haven't lived there for a while because I was in Hershey for a while for something, but yeah, I also hope they don't because I know that I probably will be back there at some point, even if it does take a couple years. I'm gonna be in, because I'm gonna be out near Vancouver. So, so as far as once my move is complete, my home park is gonna be PNE Playland. So, looking forward to that from the roller coaster perspective, and on the urbex perspective. Like I said, I'm gonna be in the Pacific Northwest, so going to the Bend Blockbuster, I'm probably gonna do that at some point. Go to Bend, Oregon, and go to where was the local park in Oneonta? There wasn't one. It was my home park there was the Great Escape, which was 2 hours away. Unless you count Sylvan Beach, which that place was that place when I went there. I don't even have the coaster credit there, so it was technically my home park for 4 years because it was over an hour away. I didn't even get the coaster credit there because it wasn't operating after I after I got my car. Yes, I will be visiting the Oregon parks at some point. I will be visiting Oaks and Enchanted Forest. I will be visiting those parks at some point, not making promises on when because I mean with with when I'm when I'm doing this whole thing, the reason that I'm able to do a move like this, like you're seeing a little bit of the back end of my life, it it's because the job that I have has free housing. So it's not like I'm loaded with money, but well, the job that I will have out there has free housing. I'm currently living with my grandparents, so so like I'm not having to deal with any sort of housing costs. So that's the back end of how I'm able to do everything that I do, how I'm able to see all of these places. Like I mean that's my little secret. That's that's my little secret, I guess you could say, with how I'm able to do the things that I do. It's it's because a lot of the big expenses are generally something that are either included as a job benefit or that I can get for a relatively good price. I've never heard of Canes in Pittsburgh, but like I mean if I'm ever back in the area I might check them out, but like I mean it's unlikely that I'm going to be in that area anytime soon because I mean my contract on the Pacific Northwest, like I mean I'm likely going to be getting extensions there. So like I mean I'm I'm here in Kansas until February and then I'm going to be on the Pacific Northwest until at least June and probably for a lot longer than that because I'm probably going to get an extension on my contract out there and I'm probably going to go for work that isn't contract work eventually with them. Like that's so like I mean I think that's likely where I'm going to end up is Pacific Northwest. Is Kansas as cold as they say? It's actually warmer than it was in Pittsburgh, and part of the reason that I know that is because like there are days when out here I'll be wearing shorts and short sleeves, and like I mean I'll be scrolling through my weather app and see all of the places that I've been, and I'll see that Pittsburgh is listed as colder than than what it's like than what the weather is like out here. Yeah, like I mean, but yeah, like I mean, I would not say Kansas is all that cold. Like I mean, you're pretty low lying in terms of elevation, so you don't like I mean, once you like if you go far enough east, the elevation starts to rise to the point that you're gonna get colder. If you go far enough west, the elevation starts to rise to a point where you're gonna get it colder, and that's a large part of the reason why I'm out here because hey, I can like hey, come out here, work a couple jobs out here for a couple months, and suddenly I've got 15 hours taken off of my ultimate drive to the West Coast, so it's not like I have to as like to be able to do it in a week, I don't have to basically do. Yes, I will be going to a bunch of alpine coasters. Unfortunately, like Lagoon is going to be in their off season when I'm passing through, much like Six Flags St. Louis was. But I'm going to get to go to places like Glenwood Caverns. I'm going to get to go to several ski resorts that have alpine coasters to ride the coaster. And I'm obviously going to get to go to PNE Playland, Washington State Fair, Wild Wild Adventures, I think it's called, the one in Seattle. Those are the big three that I'm pretty much definitely gonna get to do. Now, my big decision is, am I gonna like, I mean, I know that I'm probably gonna be staying out there, so like eventually maybe I'll just have paid time off built up that I can do it. But like, I mean, am I gonna choose to go to Silverwood, or am I gonna choose to go to the Oregon parks? And honestly, part of me is leaning towards Silverwood because, well, Silverwood is Silverwood is more. Yeah, like, I mean, one of my YouTube shorts, I basically recorded the coaster replay instead of paying the $12 to have it saved. So yeah, that's the kind of stuff that I'll do as a little thing, because like I can see that, hey, they're just trying to screw me out of money at certain places, money that I'd rather be spending on doing coasters as opposed to that sort of thing. But I mean, I did pay for the thing at Aries because that felt like more of a resort. So the one near St. Louis, I did scrum up the money to pay for a video of my of myself on the Alpine coaster there. But yeah, like I mean, I'm really looking forward to like Glenwood Caverns, for example. Like, I mean, yeah, I'm not gonna get to go on Defiance or Cliffhanger, but their Alpine coaster looks really fun, and I'm gonna get to do the cave tours. I mean, it's sort of like a mini Silver Dollar City. The best roller coaster I've been on, it's hard to say. Like, I mean, I'm currently wearing my Outlaw Run shirt, which was my 350th credit. But, but yeah, that was, like, I mean, for the best coasters that I've been on, like, I mean, I could say for sentimental value, Leviathan is the coaster that really got me into coasters. Well, I mean, and like a few months before that, Mindbender at Galaxyland got me over my fear of going upside down. So those are the two coasters that I really attribute to me being a coaster enthusiast. When I filmed the It video, like, I mean, yeah, I was obviously referring to the tram coaster that they have there because they have a coaster themed to the runaway tram, and I was like, hey, wouldn't it be funny to include a jab about that in a skit about someone who seemingly can't decide what ride they want to go on, but you know what they're talking about based off of what's in the background. I mean, yeah, that was really fun. But yeah, I mean, a lot of the skits that I make are pretty much improvised. But by the way, I'm the owl kid in the Coaster Studios Vekoma SLC parody, and I've certainly milked that clip a little bit. So like when you see the video where I'm like, so what did you think of Windstorm? And then it cuts to me saying, ow, and then you hear well said. I'm not the one filming the ow, or getting someone to say well said. Or when I made that video at T3, that was one of my proudest things, was to do that. Would be even funnier if I could find a way to invest in BLIAQ stock, which is the former Blockbuster stock, if I go to the last Blockbuster, which, I mean, it's definitely a possibility that I'll go there. I mean, I'd say it's pretty likely that I'll go there at some point. because, like, living in the Pacific Northwest, like, I mean, I'm probably gonna go to the Oregon parks. I'm gonna go to Silverwood at some point once I get my paid time off developed enough that I could do something like that, where I could take a couple days to go to a theme park. And like, when I would do the Bend Blockbuster on the same trip that I would do the Oregon parks, basically. That was Dakota. He wasn't present. That was actually filmed at Kennywood, believe it or not. The ow moment. So it's right by the tunnel. There was the planter there. If you look really closely, if you zoom in the upper corner, you can see Skyrocket's brake run. Like, I mean, you wouldn't know it if I didn't tell you that that it's there. But yes, spoiler alert, that was not filmed at Kentucky Kingdom. Based off of the fact that years later I made my video of doing a parody of that scene when I was at Kentucky Kingdom. For when I was actually at Kentucky Kingdom, which, like, I mean, it's fun to say that I actually made it to Kentucky Kingdom to get on the ride that gave me that line that actually, to some extent, was the reason that I lived in Hershey for a couple months, and was probably the best couple months of was some of the best couple months of my life. That and January 2020 when I was in Portugal were some of the best months of my life. Yes, I did know that the good night sign was formerly behind the lost Kennywood sign, and that it was designed based off of Luna Park. And I will say that I do credit Rick Seaback as part of making me a coaster enthusiast, because stuff like Great Old Amusement Parks, that documentary was really crucial. But then I discovered Kennywood Memories as well. I think I might have actually been shown that documentary in school, believe it or not. But in grade school, like, imagine that, having a teacher cool enough to show you that showed a student a documentary from 1989, and hey, it actually had an effect on them. And then when they were like, hey, this sounds like the same guy who did that Kennywood Memories, when Great Old Amusement Parks happened to be on TV one time. And now I watch Great Old Amusement Parks several times a year. And, like, I mean, whenever I'm talking about the parks for that, I've actually been to the site of Westview, because there was a Kmart there. So, like there was a time when I was doing. I've talked enough about the back end of my life, so I'll just go ahead and say it. When I was political canvassing and I had to take someone home that lived in that area, well, I volunteered to because I was nice, and I kind of wanted to see the former Westview Kmart. So, so I've been to the site of Westview Park. I walked around looking for remnants of the park when I was there, and I did not find anything. But I will say that as for remnants of Westview, though, there actually is one remnant that I know of that I've seen, and it's actually in Bristol, Connecticut, believe it or not. So the flying scooters at Lake Compounce, the Bishraco flying scooters at Lake Compounce that they have there, those are the ones from Westview Park. So, talking about remnants of Westview, that's one that I definitively know of, that I have not just seen, but been on and rode. It's a shame that they run that thing so slow, though, and it doesn't run in the glory days, like it would have in its glory days from when it was at Westview. Because, like, I believe that thing, Like it was moved from Westview to Kennywood, and then it was moved to Lake Compounce. And ironically, the original flying scooters from Kennywood, I believe I was told was actually the unit at Knoebels. And like they sold it not long before Westview closed, and then people missed it, so they bought the unit from Westview. The laser loop is not coming back to Kennywood, but I do have faith that it will open in Niagara Falls. I'm I'm really hoping to see that ride open, even though as someone who's going to be in the Pacific Northwest, it's probably going to be hard to get on, but I'd love to see that ride open up, especially with the whole Montezuma's Revenge situation. And the sadness about Mindbender at Galaxyland, losing those two Schwarzkopf. Like, I mean, yeah, I want to ride it. It's just that, like, I don't know how practical it's going to be if I'm living in the Pacific Northwest. Like, I mean, I'm probably going to be going to the California parks every year. I'm probably, if I'm feeling really extravagant, gonna make a trip down to Lagoon. But, like, I mean, that, that's but, like, I mean, thinking about it, my credit count is not gonna grow a ton without me going to Europe at this point, to Europe or Asia, basically, because, like, I mean, I don't really want to go to Texas or Florida right now as someone who's trans. Yes, I have. I mentioned Mindbender at Galaxyland. I rode it, and that was the coaster that made it so that I was no longer afraid of going upside down. So I was very much happy that I did that. I have also visited the American Dream Mall and Nickelodeon Universe. So yes, I have visited indoor theme parks. If you want to count an indoor FEC as an indoor theme park, I technically have been to several of those because I've been to, oh yes, Millennium Force at Lake Compounce. I'd be lying if I said that was entirely my idea. Like, I mean, I remember that there was some video I saw from someone that made some joke about it, so like I decided to go along with it and basically do the same thing. The sad thing is though, remembering my Lake Compounce trip. Yes, I wasn't the first one to make the joke, but remembering my Lake Compounce trip, like I mean like I mean I now look back on that as that was less than 3 weeks before my knee got fucked up, basically by the fact that I got a tick bite. And it festered into arthritis, and I had to get surgery to get that taken out. Like, yeah, it was I guess I did that Fun for All Idlewild, and then it was right after I did Idlewild that I started to not be able to that walking started to get more painful, and then it just got to the point where I couldn't walk at all, and then it started swelling even more to the point where laying down hurt, walking hurt, whatever I tried to do, it hurt. And yeah, it was really sucky to have to deal with that, but at least that doesn't have too much of an effect on my life today. Like, obviously I'm still able to do big bike trips. I'm not able to run anymore is the only thing, because I mean, through high school and college I was on the cross country team, and like that was actually my last week of college that I went to Lake Compounce, because I was like, hey, Lake Compounce is 3 hours away. I have a day off of classes. Cross country season is over. I'm just gonna do it. Was basically what I said about going to Lake Compounce. But I mostly film things on my phone, so I don't. So yes, I've done water slides, but I haven't thought to do a water slide video because my phone isn't waterproof. I could certainly give my review of the Great Wolf Lodge in Kansas City, though, which has some pretty good indoor water slides. I'm thinking about filming that place the next time that I go to their water park because, like, I mean, as far as theme parks go, that's the closest thing that I have right now is is the Great Wolf Lodge. But yeah, like I mean, they do have a pretty cool slide there that that it starts inside and goes outside and basically drops down into mini toilet bowls essentially, but you get really wet on it from all of the splashes that it has. It's definitely an improvement over their lodge in Sandusky, which didn't really have any thrill based slides. And like I mean, the other slides at the same height are basically the thrill level that the biggest slides at Great Wolf in Sandusky, which is a place that I grew up with, were like. So like, oh yeah, like any shoot the shoots is gonna get people really wet. Like I mean, the wettest shoot the shoots I've been on was the one at Kentucky Kingdom, because I believe that one has a bridge that it falls down or something. Like I mean, but anyway, that one definitely felt like the wettest the shoots I've been on. But like I mean, I don't always do water rides when I go to parks because it's like, hey, I go for roller coasters. Maybe I'll do unique flat rides. That's any unique flat rides that exist. Like if I were talking about Kennywood, that would be like Kangaroo, Whip, Turtle, rides like that would be the types of flat rides that I'd say I'll do. And since I'm thinking about it, is it ironic that there is a 100% chance that, as far as a Zamperla Gryphon goes, or a Griffin, however they say it, but like, I mean, yeah, I don't love Zamperla as a company because their restraints do get a little tight, especially here, which is a sensitive area for any individuals that have estrogen as their dominant hormone. So, like, I don't love Zamperla's restraints for that reason, but I'll definitely check out their ride types if I haven't been on them. So, a park in North Carolina called Lakemont Village Amusements. I'll have to look that up. I don't think there would be any relation to the Lakemont Park in Pennsylvania, which is a highly underrated park, and I would say is a must visit just because having the two great wooden coasters that have good airtime moments without any restrictive restraints of any kind, and the typically upcharge attractions that they include on the wristband, definitely it's definitely a must visit. But yeah, like I imagine that it's not related to Lakemont Park in Pennsylvania. In fact, I have seen the term Lakemont. Like I mean, then again, the area where I saw Lakemont used as a street name, they had an Altoona place that it literally intersected with. So, like, maybe the streets in that neighborhood were literally named after places in Altoona, and most people wouldn't notice. So, like, maybe there was some relation to that street and Lakemont Park. But anyway, what I was gonna say about the Zamperla Gryphon, the ironic thing is, there is a 100% chance that I will be on the one at PNE Playland which was the first one in North America, before I get on Spinvasion. There is a 100% chance that will be the case. because PNE Playland is going to be my home park. So, so like that's a little ironic that I went to Kennywood for so many years, and like I mean, this past year, like I mean, I was too busy over the summer to like I mean, that's why I did my Magic Mountain and Knott's trip in April, because I knew that I was taking on a job that was going to be very demanding in terms of hours. And then I ended up working something out with the manager to not have as demanding of hours. But like I mean, I'm sure eventually I will be back in Pittsburgh, but like I said, it's not going to be anytime soon. It's definitely not going to be before the summer. Like I mean, in the summer I'm like like I mean, as far as if my family wanted to see me, it's going to be them coming out to me. It's not going to be me going out to them, because like I mean, I don't have a lot of money. I'm not just casually driving to the Pacific Northwest from Pittsburgh. Well, I mean, technically it's from Kansas because I'm living here for a couple months, but I started in Pittsburgh. Well, I actually started in Hershey, technically, if you, because I was in Hershey for a longer time than I was back in Pittsburgh after my stint in Hershey. So it's like, you know, with like, since I technically started in Hershey, I'm not driving all the way to the Pacific Northwest with the idea that, hey, I'm doing that as as just a, hey, I'm gonna bring my car back within a year. It's a, hey, this is essentially a permanent relocation, essentially, and I'm not going to be a homeowner, so I'm basically just waiting until I have paid time off with my job to be able to do things. And once I have paid time off, like I mean, I might want to, it's probably going to be, hey, let's go to Lagoon, or hey, let's go to Silverwood, that I end up doing in the summer. And like I mean, one thing that is going to be interesting, though, is just thinking about it. Yeah, I know that the old channel still exists and the college didn't delete it. But like I was worried that they would. Essentially, basically, they changed what they did was they changed the email to be the @alumni, basically. So that was what they did when I graduated. But like I mean, another reason that I made the decision was if they decided to go through the channel, basically that was a way of, like, that was something that I didn't say, but basically if the college decided to go through that old channel, they would, like, before they were giving me my diploma, and I'll say that I had some rocky relationships with some people when I graduated, even though I'm now back on good terms with the college, and I even got a reference from someone at the college for my job in the Pacific Northwest. But like I mean, I'm plugging my phone in here, but there's only so much that there's a lot of stuff I am willing to chance, but there are certain things that, yeah, like I mean, I have thought about reviving that channel, but like since I've just had everything on here for so long, it's like, why do I want to confuse people and basically have a channel to urban exploring and a channel dedicated to roller coasters, when so many people have channels dedicated that are semi-dedicated to both anyway. Like I mean, I know that, for example, Wally B26 would make videos at Conneaut Lake Park to experience the history of riding Blue Streak. By the way, fuck Todd Joseph with everything he's done to that place, because that is a rare credit that I can claim that I have. But anyway, there was that sort of thing. There was Coaster Studios going to Joyland. I'm planning to go to both Joyland and Wild West World. So it's like that's a thing. And also on that old channel, somehow the algorithm was recommending me theme park stuff, and not because I had this channel on the same device, but because I started watching the Arcade Craniacs because they had those abandoned Chuck E. Cheese videos. And like when I did my California trip, that's part of the reason I had to visit that abandoned Chuck E. Cheese, even though it was under construction and in the process of being converted into a medical facility. And when I was there, and I could definitely make the joke that, hey, them turning it into a medical facility, do you know any corporations that would be harvesting the body parts of children that went missing because so that they could do something medical related? Yes. I'm saying that we should, that like if I lived in LA, I would start doing a Resident Evil is real at that location, basically, as a continuation of the Arcade Craniacs saga. I'd basically try to find people to do Resident Evil is real, have the Umbrella Corporation harvesting the organs of the 5 missing kids to make it into for their medical facility. It's like it's perfect that you could have something like that to continue that storyline that the Arcade Craniacs started. But yeah, I'm glad that you like my videos, because I saw myself as just, hey, someone who posts these videos as a hobby and basically doesn't really take time to do any editing, just basically does a one take of everything, doesn't care if something a little awkward might happen while filming, and basically just sees what happens. That being essentially the way I do things. Oh yeah, I remember that, part of the reason that I decided to merge the channels as well was because like I mentioned, the school, if they would have seen that, hey, these are the videos one of our students is posting, it's not like they ever creamed me out for it, for posting those videos on a school email. But the fact that I literally went into a mall after close, I literally did that and showed a video of the whole place. I literally went into an abandoned Macy's that absolutely had cameras in it. I literally did all that. Yes, that Macy's in Binghamton, I turned the comments off on that one because someone claiming to be a security guard that I think was just some asshole who found out about my videos and looked on Facebook for someone that was a security guard at Oakdale Mall. And then created a channel with that name to try to scare me. But it's like, yeah, that's what I think happened. That's what, when another reason that I was restricting comments is because, think it's as cringe as you want, but I have had my eras of believing some form of creepypastas being real. And, well, one of them, as embarrassing as it is, especially seeing that you're talking to a young adult, it was the Arcade Craniacs for a couple videos. That was something that I was like, to go check out that area to see it actually haunted, because this looks pretty definitive. And then, like, when it just was the same thing every video, I started to pick up on the clues that, hey, this is fake. But like, I mean, it took me a while to pick up on those clues. But the other era, which lasted a lot longer, was when I was in have I ever visited Fredericktown Mall? No, I have not. But basically, one of the areas that I forgot what I was going to say, but one of the areas that I was going to go, I think, I'm trying to remember what my train of thought was. But yeah, I have not been to that mall. Like, I mean, I know there's an abandoned Sears in Kansas City that isn't. I'm not talking about the Metcalf South one, because unfortunately they tore that one down in 2022. And like, I mean, I visited the site of it, but like, everything's gone except for the old lot lights from the Sears portion of the Metcalf South parking lot. So, like, I mean, there's not a ton to see there. It was very sentimental for me, though, because, like, that area was crucial to me getting into urbex, actually, since when I was in high school, we visited my grandparents once for a holiday break, and, well, my dad knew that I had a budding interest in abandoned places, and he took me to Metcalf South in 2014. And like, I climbed the fire escape tower. That was before I was making abandoned videos, but like, I mean, it's still fun to reminisce about the fact that, hey, I climbed the fire escape tower at Metcalf South. So, like, I mean, you can thank Metcalf South for largely for my interest in abandoned retail, because I was like, hey, I want to see the inside, because like, the place had closed in September and it was November. Had closed except for the Sears in September of that year, and it was November when we were there. And the little lobby area, like right after you open the doors, between there and the other set of the double doors, you could still get into that area. So that was weird. Also, another thing with Metcalf South, there was actually a roller coaster there until 2003. Like, I mean, gosh, do I wish that I would have been able to. Yeah, like, I mean, if there was a guy at a Rite Aid that that was doing something bad, like, I mean, I've definitely seen some things, and like, I mean, knowing that out here, that just, hey, a parent can tell that I'm trans and decides to get me fired. Like, I mean, that definitely tells me that there are some messed up people out here. Like, I mean, luckily I still do have another job. I'm not gonna expose where I'm working in a video where I'm basically where I basically started with a rant about how I got fired from one of my jobs. I mean, at least they paid me today. Like, I mean, I was like, am I going to have to deal with them not paying me? Because, like, I mean, I legitimately thought I was on such bad terms with them that they're going to try to not pay me, and I'm going to have to confront them about it. And I might have to confront them with an attorney. But yeah, like, I mean, that's awesome to just respect everyone, let people live their lives. I mean, it doesn't really affect you how someone else lives their life. That's what I say. So, like, it doesn't affect me how someone else chooses to live their life. So it's not my business in terms of that sort of thing. And like, I mean, I wish that the parent of the person who the parent who likely complained about me because of the drag law, because like they probably mentioned some drag laws, which I imagine that, knowing some of the states that they are in, I wouldn't be surprised if Kansas has anti-drag laws around children. So like I mean, that person might have mentioned that they were gonna report Enchant for exposing children to drag or something, because like, I mean, even though I'm legally non-binary, like, I mean, you, like, what are you gonna say? I'm performing a gender that is different from my gender. I'm legally non-binary. You don't, like, they don't get to tell me anything, even if in the Midwest they don't like to respect that. They have to respect that my ID says that I'm non-binary. So I'm recognized as being non-binary. So it's like, you know, how could they say that that's drag anyway, to have a voice that sounds something like this was my elf voice, like, to have that kind of voice, basically, and be doing that, like how is that performing a gender that isn't mine? just thinking about it, because, like, I mean, like I said, my ID says I'm non-binary on it. But yeah, getting back to my overall plans for stuff, like, I mean, Glenwood Caverns is a definite. I do have a couple alpine coasters near Salt Lake City that I'm probably going to do. I have several others in Colorado, because Colorado is loaded. I saw that there are some alpine coasters in British Columbia that I'm probably going to hit up, that I don't imagine too many coaster enthusiasts hitting up. Like, I mean, the Pacific Northwest, it might not be coaster stacked, but it's definitely rarer credits than what you'll find most places. Yeah, I'm really excited to go through Colorado. Like, I mean, Colorado is one state that I definitely feel safe of the states left in the journey. Like, I mean, ironically, I will say that I know Missouri has anti-trans laws and for bathrooms. So, like, I mean, I was trying to be discreet about it, and I will say that how many states have I been to? I'm not. So, like, I mean, let's see. So, like, I mean, so going down, like, I mean, I've been to Maine, but I haven't ridden the coasters there. And then obviously I've been to Massachusetts, Connecticut, New York, Pennsylvania, all sorts of, like all of those, obviously. Maryland, New Jersey. I'm trying to list them all. And I've been to currently 3 Canadian provinces, and that's going to be 4 pretty soon, because British Columbia is definitely going to be a place that I visit, and I have never been to British Columbia. But, like, I mean, I've been to, and then going across the Midwest, I mean, I've been to Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, Missouri, obviously Kansas, because that's where I'm at now. And going south, I've been to Kentucky, West Virginia, those states. I've been to the Carolinas. I've been to Florida, but I mean, with the anti-trans laws that are in place now, it's not something that I'm gonna do again anytime soon, just because of the anti-trans laws. If they get rid of some of those anti-trans laws to actually make trans tourists feel safe, then yeah, I'll consider going to Florida. Like, I mean, I guess I've technically been to Texas if you're counting airports. Like, I mean, yeah. Oh, the Rite Aid in Crafton closed a month ago. Wow, that's not one that I was expecting. Someone was trying to destroy the building. Oh, why does that not surprise me? Why does that not surprise me? It's like, why can't people realize that bricks are that removing a brick like that, that's of no particular value. But like I mean, I'm not going to judge someone if they want to break into a building because they're homeless, basically. Like, I'm not going to judge someone for doing that. But I am going to judge someone for being like, hey, I'm going to destroy, and they need shelter, but I am going to judge someone for destroying stuff. And good thing that he got caught, because it's like, wow, that's something that he deserved to be caught for. And, like, I mean, thinking about Rite Aids, like, I mean, in Harrisburg, there were a couple of abandoned Rite Aids that I went to that were strangely right across the street. I couldn't figure out why there were two drugstores right next to each other like that. Like, I mean, I guess maybe one was a Walgreens and one was a CVS, and I just perceived them to be Rite Aids or something, because, like, those two love to be on the same corner, and they both closed or something. But yeah, like, I mean, in thinking about drugstores, that's, like, I mean, they're all the same generally as far as I'm concerned. There isn't much difference between one to the other, to the other, to the other. Yeah. The Crafton Plaza, I believe there's a Planet Fitness there, correct? Because like, yeah, I went there. Yeah, yes, there's the Planet Fitness there. And that Planet Fitness has awesome amenities, I'm gonna say, because I used to be a Planet Fitness member. I'm not anymore, but that Planet Fitness having the hydro beds that position you where you're like in a recliner, that's so awesome that they have those. So, like, those were being rolled out as a test thing at that location. And I've been to several of the Planet Fitnesses in... I remember that being a Save-A-Lot, actually. Like, I mean, as a kid, there was a time that my dad had agreed to take me to Cedar Point, but he had a gig first, and he basically dropped me off in Crafton and basically said, go explore. And I ended up going to Crafton Plaza, and, like, I bought some road food at the Giant Eagle. I went into the Save-A-Lot initially looking to get road food, and, like, since I'm a health foodie, I couldn't find anything that was up to my standards in the Save-A-Lot. That's crazy to think of the Giant Eagle as a Kmart there, because, like, I mean, I know there's the Kmart there was the Kmart at Parkway Center. And, like, I mean, my parents actually lived in Crafton before. And they talked about a Giant Eagle there, and they talked about going to Kmart at Parkway Center whenever they needed something like that to... Oh yeah, that's like I mean, that I will say for Crafton, if you're looking to explore anything, what's now called, like, I mean, I'm obviously I mean, obviously my religion doesn't align with it, but I will say that that tabernacle was a was an abandoned church for several years. So like that's cool that that was an abandoned church that the building got restored. Because like you love to see historic buildings get restored like that, because it's good to see the history preserved. So like just thought I'd mention that as something that's in the area. I remember when that church was abandoned, and that was one of the things that I explored. I tried to go inside when my dad had that work gig, and I was just dropped off in Crafton basically as a thing for before doing that trip to Cedar Point, basically as a way to say, hey, let's make it so that you can get more time at Cedar Point. Let's, yeah, like, I mean, it's awesome to see that Crafton has preserved their old buildings and not just let them get demolished. And by the way, like, I mean, the Dogma Church, St. Peter and Paul, that I joked was St. Michael's Church in Red Bank, New Jersey, in a video on the old channel. That's actually St. Peter and Paul. Apparently, that's being restored into something from what I've seen. So, like, that's in East Liberty. So, like, I mean, that was a that was that was a happy moment when I got to go into that building, because there just so happened to be guys working that day. I wouldn't be surprised if me and my coworker, because yes, we were on the job when we did it, and like we had both mentioned being fans of Dogma, and like I made the decision to pull over when we were supposed to be going to knock doors to sell stuff. I made the decision to, hey, let's take 10 minutes to go inside that church if the guys will let us in. Because like you see in that video, there's the guy who asks, what was the name of this church again? Yeah, and they did. Like, I mean, we were supervised, so like we couldn't go to the upper balcony because that was unsafe. But I wouldn't be surprised if me and him were the first two just photographers inside that building since Sam and Colby in 2018. Like, I would not, in 2017 or 2018, I wouldn't be surprised knowing how boarded up that place was if, oh yeah, that the one in the Hill District, the that was probably the most dangerous explore I've ever done. John Wesley AME. Like, I mean, it's not a judgment about the area. It's a judgment about the, hey, that floor could cave in at any moment. Like, that's probably the most dangerous explore I've ever done. It's like, just thinking about that sort of thing. Like, that was when I was political canvassing that I went there. Our office was on, for that job, was on Bigelow Boulevard, so like it was pretty close to there. Like, I mean, the office that I reported to was in Polish Hill. Like, I mean, I actually ended up working that area for one of my next jobs that I'm still waiting on final paychecks from, so I don't know. Well, I mean, since you're the only one watching, I'll just say I worked selling Verizon for a little bit, and I actually worked the area where John Wesley AME is. So, like, I mean, I knew the area when I was there, and like, I mean, it was hey, I was able to give out free internet most of the time, so that was awesome. Canton Avenue and Beachview? I don't think so. Like, I mean, I've been to Beachview. I've knocked doors there. But yeah, like, I mean, I would like I mean, the next time I'm in Pittsburgh, which again, that could be a couple years, it could be something that I check out. Would be to oh, actually, I think I did see it when I was knocking doors, but I didn't take the time to stop and film. Like, I mean, but I'm pretty sure that I actually saw it, if that makes sense. So like, as far as that goes, yeah. Like, I mean, I've like, I still know the map of I still know the map of Pittsburgh and Harrisburg like the back of my hand, because those were cities that I went door to door in. And now I'm basically settling to do about $15 an hour after proving that I could work a job that pays way more than that just because I don't want to do something that's going to lock me into anything right now. And I was sick of it getting dark when I was knocking doors, so like, that was another motivating factor for me to do this move, because it's like, hey, it's getting dark when I'm knocking doors. And like, I mean, I had someone who, oh yeah, delivering papers isn't the same thing as knocking on doors, though, because delivering papers, like, I mean, at least people are like, oh, the paper's here. It's not like, oh, you have to knock on their door and potentially disturb their dinner. And when there's the dark, it's just another excuse that they have. Because, like, I mean, I've had people say, oh, it's the middle of the night, what are you doing? Meanwhile, it was like 5 o'clock. Like, I mean, when I was knocking on doors around this time a year ago, like, that's what was happening, was that people were like, what are you doing knocking on my door in the middle of the night? And I was like, it's 5 o'clock, it's 6 o'clock, it's 7 o'clock. Like, you really shouldn't be complaining about that sort of thing. Was basically what I was like in terms of my thought process. But like, I mean, I was not really wanting to deal with it when now I was working commission only. So like, I mean, I decided to get a head start on my move, and also have more predictable weather in the Rocky Mountains. So like, I mean, because my $24 an hour job that was a seasonal job decided to get rid of me. Well, Bend, Oregon would be a stop on a trip. I haven't decided which way I'm going to go when I get to that point. I know I'm going to go through Colorado, through Utah, like out I-70. And then but like, I mean, I haven't decided how far I'm going to go west before I go north, basically, for my final destination, just because, you know, depending on what the weather is like in the mountains, like, I mean, I might want to go all the way to basically all the way to California and then go north. And going all the way to California, hey, I'd get to go to Six Flags Discovery Kingdom, which is the last of the non-Disney Universal parks in California that is a super notable park that I haven't gone to. Well, I mean, I guess SeaWorld San Antonio is also pretty notable. But yes, Bend, Oregon would be a stop because, like, I mean, I'm essentially a van lifer. Like, I mean, I have not talked about that too much on my channel, but, like, I mean, basically, I mentioned how I lived in Hershey for a couple months and, like, I mean, as a coaster enthusiast, I'll let you draw conclusions about where I was working for those couple months, and that was a great experience. And like, that was a great experience. They provided housing. Like, I wish I could just replicate that contract housing in a hotel with a pool and a hot tub, and they paid really well. I just wish I could replicate that contract for the rest of my life for a job. But nonetheless, I was in Hershey for a couple months, then I went to Pittsburgh for less than a month, and now I'm in Kansas City for a couple months, and then I'll be heading west. Like, I mean, I know that it's not uncommon for, like, I mean, I know that, for example, Adam the Woo posted about being a van lifer as in a behind-the-scenes thing, but, like, I mean, I'm essentially a van lifer that will stay with relatives, if that makes sense. Yes, I was in Monroeville because that was where I was located for my that was where I was located for my political canvassing job at the time. And, like, I mean, that was something that they moved around the office a couple times. Like, I mean, they first had us in Monroeville, then the boss got COVID and they lost the lease as a result, or something like that. I don't know the full back end. Then they had us meeting at a field, and when we were meeting at that field, like, we had school sports coaches constantly asking us, well, asking one of the supervisors, "Hey, coach, how long is practice going to be? Because we need to use the field too." And it was like, oh, this isn't a sports practice. We're just meeting here for a job. We're going to send everyone off within 15 minutes, basically. like, yeah, that was the sort of thing that was happening. And then we got the office on Bigelow Boulevard. And that's when I started going to Arsenal Bowl, was because that was like 5 minutes from where the office was. So, but yeah, like, I mean, I definitely was someone who watched Adam the Woo with the abandoned stuff and occasionally theme park stuff, like doing Dollywood and stuff like that. I'm like, I mean, I will say, with channels like that, I've seen Carpetbagger in person, but I didn't get to talk to him because, well, I'm a performer. So, like, I mean, I was in costume and I was a character that couldn't talk. So I couldn't just say, "Oh, hello, Carpetbagger," basically. Oh, Scene 75. Like, I mean, I know Scene 75 sometimes has roller coasters, but I don't see the one in Pittsburgh listed on the roller coaster database as a defunct park, because I know it's abandoned, because I explored it, actually, because that used to be a Kmart. The Scene 75, like, I kind of found it by accident, and then, like, when looking at the roller coaster database, I saw several Scene 75s and was like, wait, what? Basically. And, like, I mean, I somewhat found out about Scene 75 because of another one of my amusement industry insider friends telling me about it, because, like, now I'm essentially an industry insider with with some of the jobs I've worked and some of the contacts that I have. Yes, I was working at Hershey Park when I was living in Hershey. Like, I mean, I don't need to keep that. I'm not, and like, I'll let you draw your conclusion. Like, I mean, I don't know if I'm allowed to outright say it, but I'll let you draw your conclusion for how I saw Carpetbagger, but wasn't allowed to talk to him. At least he gave me a reaction, and I was able to get him pretty good, because I recognized him. But yeah, like this is like all of this interaction. It's I watched Carpetbagger's video back from that night. I'm like, I mean, I don't know if I'm allowed to comment which character I was, but yes, I was a Dark Knights performer at Hershey Park. Like, I mean, yeah, like, I mean, I don't know how much I'm allowed to say as far as that goes. Like, I mean, I don't want to risk future opportunities with that, but yes, I was in a Carpetbagger video. I will 100% confirm that. I was in his video, and he pointed the camera at me and gave me a good reaction. And, like, I did that knowing that, hey, I can potentially build a reel off of this for potential future things. Oh, that's pretty cool that you met him when he was getting out of his car. Is he like a van lifer? Because, like, I mean, because, like, that's one thing I haven't been able to figure out, but knowing that he goes all around, I sort of have imagined that, yes, he probably is. And, like, I mean, I'm essentially a van lifer that will stay with family. Like I said, even though I don't have a van, I have a small car that I just shove my stuff in, which is something that I'm able to do because I don't have kids. And I'm never gonna have kids. Can probably unplug my phone by now so that I can sit up here. But yeah, like, I mean, this conversation is exactly the kind of pick-me-up that I needed, because, like, even after going to apply for another part-time job to replace the whole Enchant thing today, like, I mean, even so, doing that, like, I was, and, like, I mean, I still am pretty upset about how they treated me, and, like, I mean, it'll never go away. Like, I mean, I gave the event a 1-star review on Google. I ravaged them on Twitter, basically, where I searched for hashtags about it and basically posted in the replies the story of my experience with them, where it's like, you're not even gonna give coaching to, and, like, I mean, I will say, like, I mean, I'm not gonna say too much about what I have heard about the back end at Enchant. Like, I mean, largely the reason that I want to talk about, that I'm willing to talk some about the back end, like, I mean, there's people who, basically, there are people who are from other jobs that I've worked that have told me certain things, and I don't want to talk too much about that because I don't want to get them in trouble. But essentially, there's, like, I mean, I have heard stuff about the back end there that I don't like, and, like, I mean, like, the majority of their reviews are, hey, this is overpriced scraps, basically. Like, it's, and that's really what it is, because you're looking at basically a bunch of lights that people paid $35 a ticket to get in, plus paid for parking, plus they probably paid for VIP if they don't want to deal with lines. So, I mean, I know I saw one of the 1-star reviews that wasn't mine talking about this is a bad employer. I saw one of their 1-star reviews mentioned that they spent $600 for a family of 4. And I'm like, that's my paycheck for 4 shifts, essentially. Like after taxes, that's a little more than my paycheck for 4 shifts. So you're talking about each of your family members essentially paid the salary of an elf for 1 shift. For you spending like 2 to 3 hours there. Yes, I mean, Enchant is something that exists all around. Something that sucks for me is finding out that the company that runs it is actually based in Vancouver. So it's like, that's where I'm going to be living. And knowing that the company that runs Enchant is right there is something that sucks. But yes, I was at their Kansas City, Kansas location, which is at a baseball stadium. Like that's where I was positioned for their event. That's the location I was working at. And knowing some of the laws I've seen, like I said, I would not be surprised if... What teams do I like in baseball? Oh, I don't really follow baseball. Like, I mean, the sport that I follow really to any major extent is hockey. And despite growing up in Pittsburgh, you're going to hate me for this, but since I worked in Hershey and they have the Hershey Bears, my team is the Capitals because the Bears are the affiliate of the Capitals. So, like, for sports teams, that's generally where I am on that. Although I am thinking about adopting either the Kraken or the Canucks as a West Coast team. So it's like... So it's like... And, like, I mean, I have a cousin who's a Kraken fan, so and, like, she's a Kraken fan because she wanted to be a little rebel when her parents went to an Oilers versus Kraken game. They live in Edmonton. That's how I've ridden Mindbender, by the way. Like, I mean, you will find that a lot of places I've been, the answer to how was I able to get to all of these places was I have family that lives there. Like, I mean, you will find a lot of the time that that's the answer to that question of how was I able to do this. But yeah, so they live in Edmonton, and one of their kids decided to cheer for the Kraken as a way to be rebellious, and I'm thinking, yes, I'm taking my car through Colorado, through Utah, through Idaho, and potentially through Oregon if I decide to go to the Bend Blockbuster, through Washington, and on the ferry out to the island where I'm going to be living. But yeah, I'm taking car all the way, and my decision to move to Kansas was very much based in, hey, it's going to be less of a drive. And there actually is a Pittsburgh, Kansas, and like when I tell people that that's where I started before making the move, that Pittsburgh was where I started, they think I'm talking about Pittsburgh, Kansas, which is funny. That will be a conversation that I have. I mean, I'll say, oh, I started in Pittsburgh, and it's like, you're moving across the country, you're staying here for a couple months, and you started in Pittsburgh, and I'm like, Pennsylvania. And they're like, oh. once I reveal that, because there is a Pittsburgh, Kansas that was like, I mean, if I knew the geography better, I would have done it. I would have gone there on my Branson trip to just for meme value of the fact that I have explored places in Pittsburgh. And well, I have a friend from Pittsburgh who wrote me a good reference, so like, I mean, I was thinking about sending her a postcard from Pittsburgh, Kansas. If I make a skit at the Bend Blockbuster, like, I mean, I'm trying to think, like, I mean, I'll definitely do a video there if I go. Like, no, no, here's what my skit idea would be. Someone who has lived in the area their whole life, and that was their Blockbuster, and basically they've just continued life as normal, thinking that there are Blockbusters all around. That's probably what I would do if I did a Blockbuster skit. Because, well, that's something that seems appropriate for how to do that. I mean, I thought about doing that in LA when I went to the Sears there, because like, I mean, I guess that was Whittier was technically the name of the town where the Sears was, but it's in the LA metro, which, I mean, it's crazy to say that I went to a Sears in 2023, and I did not just go to a Sears for the sake of going to a Sears. I actually have something that I got from there. And that's something that gives me trans joy, and that's something that I love having is that, and it's Sears branded. Like here, I'll show off the tag, because like, I mean, this is very therapeutic for me. Maybe I'll do more YouTube live streams. Like, I mean, this originally started as, hey, I want to do that, but look at that label. Like, I mean, I got this year. Like, you see the Simply Styled by Sears, which it's crazy that I bought something like that in person in 2023. The washer that I'm currently using for laundry is from Sears, actually, because my grandparents have a Sears washer that still works. Yeah, like, I mean, I'm thinking that when I go to Joyland, like, I mean, if I have cell service, I'll probably do that as a live, and like, I mean, I mean, seeing how I've been live for almost an hour and 40 minutes, and like, seeing that I've been live for that long, and my phone only has space to make 3 minutes of video, because, like, I mean, I tried to make my initial Industry Insider exposes Enchant thing. Like, I initially was going to make a video for that, and when the phone cut me off after 3 minutes, it was like, you've got to be kidding me. Basically, because it was like, it's not like there were any big videos that I could just delete now, so. Oh, you have a Toys R Us price checker. That is amazing. Like, I mean, on my old channel, I'm sure you remember that I went to a couple Toys R Us's that are still open in Quebec City. I went to the Toys R Us in Binghamton that had a sign that was still lighting up at the time. Like, that has since been replaced with something, but because, like, I remember seeing it when the cross-country buses drove past it. But yeah, I mean, that's basically what it was like. Was, hey, it was you've got the sign still up, it lights up, and like, I was blown away by the fact that was happening. And then, like, I remember seeing the process of it coming down, basically, during a bus ride for cross country. Like, that's basically what I remember with that Toys R Us. Century 3 is a UPMC, the Century 3 Toys R Us. But, like, I mean, I'm surprised that Robinson is still abandoned. I visited that one, but, like, I mean, I know that that one closed before the chain closed. That the one in Robinson closed before the chain closed because IKEA bought it because they wanted to do expansion. So, like, knowing that that's the reason Robinson closed, and then like, it wasn't the bankruptcy, it was IKEA bought the space to do expansion, and then they just haven't. Like, are they using that for storage or something? I'm just like, because it wouldn't make sense if they're not, because just knowing the reason the store closed versus seeing that it still hasn't become anything. Oh, like, I mean, they probably are doing something with IKEA then, if the front of the store is gone. Like, I mean, yeah, that would make sense because, like, I mean, that one closed before the bankruptcy. Like I said, it, like, I remember seeing abandoned Toys R Us when there were plenty of Toys R Us stores open still for 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 that specific location, and it was because IKEA made an offer on it, basically. So like, it's like, what's taken them so long is almost what I'm saying. I know the Steak and Shake isn't still there, but does the Sears sign still light up at the auto center? Yeah, yeah, like, that Sears Auto Center, that was that was a cool find for me. Like, I mean, I was thinking about going in that mall. Like, backstory of that trip, I was picking my dad up at the airport, and I didn't want to risk being late, so I decided I was going to go to the mall, basically. And when I saw that Sears Auto Center was lighting up, I was like, oh, I've got something I've got to film. Like, that was basically my reaction to that, if that makes sense. Like, I mean, now you're hearing the backstory to some of these videos. That it's like, it's not just, oh, I picked up a camera. It's, oh, I happened to be in the area for reasons X, Y, and Z. Like, this is a perfect way to get into reasons X, Y, and Z, so that, like, I mean, it's definitely something different to be able to get into those reasons. That there's a video store that shows the... No, I have not. But, like, I mean, I know that I was the one to basically bring any attention to the Oneonta Ames, which that's something I can say with pride, that basically I'm the documentarian of that store, and the Ames stuff that was still in there, because no one else had found that store before I did. And I just ended up really lucky one day where I went there, and I had tried to go in before and all the doors were locked, and I just tried one day, the door was unlocked. And I know that the abandoned place man, my friend from up there who sometimes would film abandoned places with me, I know that he actually went to that store and was not able to get in like I did. So it's like, what the heck? Yeah, there is something on the Ames fan site of that Ames with the sign up. But I'm proud to say that I was the one to discover that Ames. I was the one to document it. I was the one to show that A plus logo that was in there. Maybe maybe because I know there's a place that looked like it had at one point been a department store of some kind, and I didn't know what it was, so it's possible that I filmed it, but I don't know if there was ever a second one. I know there was the Kmart at the mall that became I think it was the TJ Maxx. But yeah, Ames are harder to come by these days, and with the area that I'm going to be in, there certainly won't be any Ames that I come by anytime soon, that's for sure. And what's really going to make some feel old is that I'm too young to have ever been in an open Ames. Like, that's really going to make some people feel old, to think that I'm too young to remember having been in an Ames when it was open. I could have been in an open Ames as a baby, but I'm too young to have been in to have remembered it, if that makes sense. I know that I looked on Google Maps at the Ames in Monroeville that became Pat Catan's, which is now Michael's, because I was thinking that they were gonna close the close the Pat Catan's and not turn it into a Michael's. But that was one that they decided to turn into a Michael's. But I know that you can still see Ames label scars on it. It's ironic that one of the Pittsburgh Ames stores, which is not too far away from that other one that was the Pat Catan's, is abandoned again. It was that Goodwill store that I was in, because that was a former Ames. Then it became Roomful Express. Then it became Gander Mountain. Then it became a Goodwill store. Now it's abandoned again, the last time I saw. And I believe it's the same building. So that's pretty crazy to think everything that that has been in that building. And I asked if there were any Ames remnants when I went, and they were like, "Oh no." But that's crazy that it's something else now. But like, I mean, the fact that I know so much about the history of that building is it's crazy. Just to think. And like, I mean, I thought it was pretty cool that they were using a lot of Gander Mountain stuff for the Goodwill store. Like, you could see the Gander Mountain carts. Like remembering that explore. But yeah, like, I mean, it's been a while since I have been out that way, and like, I mean, I'm willing to bet it'll probably be abandoned again the next time I'm there, because or it'll be just straight up demolished. Like that's what that building is going to be like. It's either going to be abandoned again after being something that I wouldn't have seen, or it's going to be straight up demolished. I'm willing to bet on it, just seeing how many businesses have come and gone from that building. Yeah, like it was the Monroeville Gander that I know where the two in Bethel Park were, because one is now a Lowe's, one is now a Home Depot. Ironic how they became that. I know where the two in Monroeville, where those two were. It was the Michaels and the Gander Mountain. That's now the MacBid. I don't know the specifics about the other ones, but like, I mean, I remember looking them up. Roomful Express, I remember my parents bought a bunk bed there. In at one in Cannonsburg, I think it was. Yeah. I remember they bought a bunk bed there. It's crazy to think about all of these stores that are just no more. Basically, I'll plug my phone into the battery so that I don't have to deal with the flimsy thing, because my battery's 100%, so I can plug it into that. But yeah, like, I mean, I've always wanted to have a live stream and be able to do something like this. So, like, I mean, it's like, this is exactly the kind of therapeutic thing that I needed, honestly, was to be able to have something like this. And like, I mean, I guess it's kind of weird how it's kind of weird how it's a malfunction with I was recording a video as a thing, and then essentially it turned into this because, well, I didn't want to deal with the whole thing of I just didn't want to deal with deleting content off my phone, especially when it's probably the app that I use to clock in at my other job that this was not about, that was resulting in it being like this, in terms of, yeah, I mean, when you see the freezes in my live stream, it's probably because my phone has been alerting me of low battery, because I've been trying to not have to have it plugged in, because like this, like being able to sit on the bed is more comfortable than having to than having with my seat on the with my back on the pillows, rather than having to sit up to have my phone plugged in because the plugs are flimsy. So like that's definitely been something for me. And also I will mention that this room that I'm in, it's probably 5G data that my cell phone is using rather than Wi-Fi, so that could be another reason that that's the case. But yeah, like I mean I love talking about this kind of stuff as a thing. I mean I know it's corny, but what did you think of my Home Alone parody where I was trying to do something about Montezuma's revenge at Knott's? Because it was like, hey, like when I saw the video from, I think it was Theme Park Crazy or something, I was like, hey, imagine the visual of Salim Basul shows up at the house of the CEO of Kumbak to demand payment for that sort of thing, and for for destroying Montezuma's revenge. Like I mean, unfortunately, that reality might be closer to something that I'm gonna have to deal with, though, because like I mean, I could see it being like, once I get to Vancouver, who is it? And then me being like, it's that elf you fired for reasons that were illegitimate. I have your bill, basically, and then it devolving that same way, basically. Like I can see myself in that scenario. British Columbia. Like I'm right on the border with the island that I'm gonna be on, and like like I mean it's literally right on the border. It's the San Juan Islands. But yeah, that's pretty close to Vancouver, British Columbia. So that would be Canada. The island isn't actually in Canada, but that I will be living on, but it is close enough that if I would be to decide, like if I would be to see that, hey, national anti-trans legislation was bad enough, I could be in Canada before Congress would have the chance to jam through a law to, because like I mean, normally it's going to take them a couple hours to jam it through at least, and like I would be notified, hey, this is happening, and I could get out of the US before any sort of legislation to close the border would be to happen. Like I mean, that's part of the reason that I decided to take a job out there, was just thinking about my own safety, and the fact that right on the border I can go right over to, I can I can say, hey, I need to get into Canada. I can say, hey, I'm going to PNE Playland and not be lying. But then once I'm past the border, I can just say, hey, this is what I'm really here for. If I would end up owning my own FEC, like I mean, I think it would be bigger than just a typical FEC. I think, like I mean, I think that I would want something like Lakemont Park, if you consider that an FEC, because the idea of having wooden coasters, or some sort of sizable coasters, and not just kiddie coasters and arcade games. Like I mean, yeah, I mean, if I had an FEC, like if I had an FEC, I would want to here's what I would really try to do. I would try to relocate the Williams Grove Cyclone to it so that I would have a wooden coaster there. I would try to get the trains from the Wildcat at Rocky Springs, because they still have the trains for that thing, if I can't get the original Cyclone trains. And I would basically get it running at an FEC, essentially. Like, that's something I have thought about as a possibility, because I mean, when Iron Menace opens, it will no longer be the case, but as of right now, I have ridden every operating coaster. I have ridden every roller coaster in Pennsylvania except for Williams Grove Cyclone. That's the only coaster in the state of Pennsylvania that I have not ridden. Kind of crazy. Well, it would be that and Iron Menace. And the Conneaut Little Dipper, but does that really count? Because that park is basically non-existent. I do have the... Yeah, I know. I mentioned Iron Menace. That's... As, like, I mean, for coasters in Pennsylvania that I have not ridden, it's Iron Menace and Williams Grove Cyclone. Just those two. I've, like, all of the small family entertainment centers that are in the state, places like Idlewild, places like Dutch Wonderland, places like Del Grosso's that a lot of enthusiasts wouldn't go to, I've been to. It's like, I mean, it's just crazy realizing that there's a big state like that I have fully conquered. Just thinking about it. And, like, I mean, at the time when I went to Del Grosso's, that actually meant that I had... What's a ride I haven't ridden? The Turnpike at Kennywood, I actually did ride that. I did ride it when it was in operation, because, like, I mean, that was around till 2009, so, like, that was still around when I was, when I was shown Kennywood Memories in elementary school. I wish they would bring it back, but, like, I mean, at this point, the fact that it was speculated that they would remove Kangaroo for that at a time, it's just like, that's kind of soured my taste of the idea of the Turnpike. Just the idea of, hey, they'd remove Kangaroo to do that. I'm like, when I said I wanted the return of Turnpike, I did not mean remove Kangaroo, a one-of-a-kind ride. Yes, I did ride Pitfall. I'd say that was actually my #1 drop tower until 2019. So, and what drop tower surpassed it? It was Falcon's Fury. Yes, it's good that Kangaroo is back, because that's a really unique ride. But yes, I did ride Pitfall, and I did sit the direction that faced the cliff, and it gave a really awesome view. So that was actually my #1 drop tower until I rode Falcon's Fury, and it's still my #2 drop tower that I have ridden. Like, it's been so many years since I've ridden it that I don't know if I'm allowed to have that opinion, but, like, just because it was before I got the general sense of what a drop tower felt like, that I rode it, ranking that as the second best drop tower that I've ridden, it might be cheating a little bit, but I mean, I loved Falcon's Fury with the tilt drop, because like, that was pretty impressive, but it didn't provide the views. But having that position was enough of a gimmick for me to say, okay, I'm ready to let some of my being not too happy that Pitfall got removed go to admit that this is a really great drop tower, basically. I remember that, like, I mean, I was GP at the time that I rode Pitfall. And that's why I say I don't know if it's cheating for me to rank it, just because I was very much not a coaster enthusiast. Oh, it was a ride POV. I'll have to look for it because, like, I mean, that's something that would be something that people would be responding to, all right. Like, I mean, it's really sad that they had to remove that ride because there are rides that are the same model that are older. Is just what I want to say. It's like they really had to replace a drop tower that gave awesome cliffside views with something that has sporadic operations at best. I've seen some of them, cause I know I rode Phantom before but before Chance Morgan retracked the first drop and the first two drops. I know I rode Phantom when it still had aero track on the first two drops, basically. And like, I mean, I still say it still has the aero supports, so, and it still uses the aero chassis, so mechanically it's still very much an aero, and it still uses the aero chain lift, so, and like the profiling of those first two drops is still very much aero. But like, I mean, just thinking about when I was watching Kennywood commercials, I remember being like, I want to go on that, pointing to Phantom's Revenge as a little kid and being told, oh, you're not tall enough to go on it. And then putting golf balls in my shoes one year, and that was an incredible experience to get that. Like, I mean, I'd say that was probably the most intense coaster experience I've ever had, was experiencing that as just a little kid. Like, I mean, how does that thing have such a low height requirement for, like, I mean, that and X2, how do those have lower height requirements than something than Candymonium, which might as well be a family coaster? How? I'm just like, Phantom's Revenge X2, lower height requirements than, like, I mean, I guess it just has to do with the restraints, probably. But yeah, like, I mean, there is a bunch of, like, when you can find something that is left over essentially from another era, that's always cool to see. But yeah, like I mean, I'm yeah, like I mean, some people with the way I talk about some abandoned stuff have said that I was born in the wrong decade, basically. And but like, I mean, I'm like, you know, really? I mean, there are plenty of people who are my age and younger who will look at abandoned stuff with awe. This abandoned stuff, abandoned old and interesting places with the same kind of awe that I do. Yes, I've been to two abandoned drive-ins. The I've been to there was a drive-in in Cannonsburg. There isn't much left, but basically the projection house is still standing. There is a Mad Mex that takes up some of the property, but the projection house is still there. I have also gone to the Twin Highway Drive-In, which the big brick screen was demolished for the sheets that's there, but you still have the screen that's basically like a blank billboard, and you still have the projection building. So you still have plenty of stuff that's left from the drive-in that's there. So yes, I have filmed abandoned drive-ins before. I thought about filming a drive-in in Dillsburg when I was selling Verizon down there as part of what I was doing when I was living in Hershey, in addition to my Hershey Park stuff. I was considering filming a drive-in there, but I found out pretty quickly that, hey, that's an existing drive-in. Which, like, I mean, I guess it still would have been cool to film something like that during the off-season, but it's like there's only so much that you can do, especially when you're supposed to be on the clock. And I didn't really want to draw the attention of police, even though I did anyway, because the guy who was in charge of paying for permits out there didn't do it. So, I mean, I'd knock on a door and a Karen would be like, police, please. But yeah, like, I mean, just thinking about the Twin Highway Drive-In, I can understand why that place closed, because that being so close to the dependable drive-in, and drive-ins basically being like, how shall I put this? It's basically like, it's a niche thing to go to a drive-in. Like, I mean, it's not like the 1950s where you can have drive-ins that are competing by playing different movies. It's like if you want to go to a drive-in, you're going to go to a drive-in, and you care less about what movie is playing and more about you want to see a movie at a drive-in, essentially. So, with more screens at the Dependable and Moon, the Twin Highway Drive-In was never gonna stay, which, it's sad, but location was that place's ultimate undoing. That's what I say about it, and that's the case for a lot of drive-ins. Like, I know my dad told me about one on Route 30 that in its last season had its best season, but the owner got an offer they couldn't refuse from Walmart for the property. And just like how with the Twin Highway Drive-In, the property owner got an offer they couldn't refuse from Sheetz. I'm surprised that they didn't petition to use the back screen. Yeah, like, I mean, finding drive-ins near, like, I know there's one in Brownsville that one of my uncles has taken me to a couple times. As far as drive-ins in the general Pittsburgh region, but, like, I mean, I'm hoping I can find one that's in the region where I'm going to be moving to in the Pacific Northwest, because, like, I mean, finding either a drive-in or something like the Hamilton, basically, that would be so awesome. So awesome to find something like that. Either or. Because, like, I mean, I know I posted a video of the Hamilton, and when I went to that theater, it was more about, hey, let's go to an 1895 opera house than, hey, let's go see a movie. Essentially. And, like, I mean, with modern movies, like, I mean, it's hard to, like, I mean, as much as I love the theater experience, it's hard to it's hard to enjoy movies that are made for the streaming service era. Like, that are made for, you can half watch this while looking at your phone. Yeah. But yeah, I've had several, like with a lot of the modern movies, I've gotten a sense of them being made with the whole, hey, you can be half looking at your phone while you're watching the movie, looking at your Twitter feed, scrolling through TikTok, whatever, while you're supposed to be watching a movie. Like, a lot of modern movies are unfortunately made that way. And, like, I mean, I am in the mood that I could go into my little elf story if you're interested. Because, like, I mean, I do have lore. I'm planning to I am planning to write a book on Willet the Elf, which that's basically going to be an autobiography about an elf that wanted to see the world, essentially. And I'm going to have, like, I mean, I'll have to have something about them getting betrayed. Well, I mean, I haven't decided what to title it yet. I'm thinking about I'm thinking about just calling it, like, The Adventures of Willet the Elf or something. And as in will it into existence is where that name comes from. But, like, I'm thinking about something like that, but, like, I mean, I'm only getting started. Like, it's a it's a project that I have to be in the mood for, and, like, I mean, there is still a little bit of dust that has to settle. And, like, I mean, the crazy thing is, like, when I was writing the stuff down, I'm still on the stuff that's very much an allegory for when I was selling internet. So and, like, I mean, I made toy making be essentially the everyone's told you're destined for that, basically. And for my world building, but I had it so that there was a Santa training program to be like a management training program that some companies have, like that's essentially what my world building is like in that. And it's something that I'm planning to publish someday. It's just I need to let some of the dust settle. Like, I mean, hopefully I can get my lifeguard job at the YMCA or something, because, like, I mean, for the time that I'm in Kansas City, I'm willing to work 60 to 70 hours a week for the next couple months. Where will you find it? Like, I mean, I'll probably post a video on here, honestly, saying, hey, I wrote a book or something. Saying, hey, I wrote a book. And then just and the idea of a name like Willet, that's what all of the elves in that story are. That's the kind of names that all of the elves in that story have. Like, I mean, I have a shall be, basically. Like, basically it's stuff that could be said as a name, but also as a description for something, basically. So, like, that's basically some of my world building with that. And basically, like, I mean, it's basically, like I said, it's very allegorical to my own story, is what it's gonna be. Like, I mean, I haven't decided whether I'm gonna write it in first person and claim that it was actually written by that it was actually written by an elf, but because I don't currently have don't currently have the 2 pages that I have written in that style. But yeah, like, I mean, if I get enough stuff, because like it's very, like, I'll just say it's very early in me writing that book. Like, I mean, it's like, granted, it's not double spaced, but I have like 2 pages, and I ultimately want the story to end with either some allegory for elves versus enchant, or I want it to, because like, I mean, I know there are other people who have had issues with that contract, or to have it be, I end up on the West Coast, essentially. So, and so like, the when the elf ends up on the West Coast, basically as very much allegorical to my own journey, essentially. So like, I mean, I haven't quite decided what I'm gonna do for certain things, but I can say it's gonna be several months before I even give it to someone to. No, it starts off with, essentially, it starts off at the North Pole, because like, it has to be, there has to be the fantasy element to it, with the idea, but like, I mean, it's a version of the North Pole that's so similar to what my Verizon job was, that like, I mean, I can say that I've looked through it and seen that I've occasionally mistyped things when typing about it, and yeah. But like, I mean, I could have something that that starts all the way back when I was in college, just thinking about it. Yes, and the backstory is that she rode down on Glacier Gulch, which is the railroad from the Polar Express. That's the backstory for how she got into theme parks, for the character that I'm basically making an allegorical representation of myself, which that in itself is an allegorical representation of myself, because that scene actually played a role in me getting into theme parks. No joke. When just seeing the train go over those steep hills, and like, I remember seeing a sign that was listed at 179 degrees in that movie, and I'm like, it's not, but I'm gonna use that as a little Easter egg for the movie, to the movie, basically. So like, I do put that on the ride down Glacier Gulch, that there was a sign that said 179-degree drop, as something like, I wrote that in, that it had a 179-degree drop, but it was obviously not actually a 179-degree drop, because that would be essentially, it would have to look like a screaming squirrel, essentially, for that to be accurate, and it obviously would not. It obviously does not. So that's why. So that's where that comes from. But yes, and like, I mean, I have it so that here's an interesting concept, basically a reverse Nightmare Before Christmas scenario. Obviously, since I worked at Hershey Park as a scare performer, I have it so that the elf that is myself, insert, the reason she goes down Glacier Gulch is to work at Hershey Park as a scare performer. Oh yeah. Yeah, that's cool. Like, I mean, I don't currently have work scheduled until Tuesday, which is something that I'm not too happy about because obviously I was scheduled to... No, my profile picture is Leviathan. Like that was that was a POV. Like if you watch my Leviathan POV, you can actually, which is one of the oldest videos on my on this channel, back to well before I merged these channels together. It's Leviathan at Canada's Wonderland, and I filmed that POV in October, and that was honestly the day that I fully became a coaster enthusiast, because that I would fully say I inducted myself as a coaster enthusiast, because sure, I had my moments before then where I showed flashes of being a coaster enthusiast, but that was the first coaster that I actively sought out. So, like, I mean, it's very special to me. And, like, I mean, I have thought about, I have considered, because I do have a picture of Phantom's Revenge from the Steel Valley Trail, so basically the bottom of the ravine. I have a picture from down there, which a lot of enthusiasts don't make it to down there. I've thought about making that my profile picture just as a rare spot, but I don't know, it's just kind of stuck. Like I mean, either that, like, I mean, my Leviathan picture has kind of stuck because that was such a crucial coaster to getting me into coasters. So, like, I mean, Phantom's Revenge, it definitely played its role, but it was not the coaster that got me into coasters. It was not something that I actively sought out because, hey, I wanted to claim I had done something that the rest of coaster YouTube at the time had not done. Because, like, when I rode Leviathan, Coaster Studios had not ridden it. I was pretty sure Rob Alvey had not ridden it, and most coaster enthusiast YouTubers that I saw had not ridden it. So like, I mean, Leviathan was definitely a major thing for me. Was, hey, I want to be able to say I've done something that those people haven't, and now they all have years later, because like I mean, but I mean, I can't believe there was a time when I had ridden coasters in more countries than Coaster Studios had ridden than Taylor from Coaster Studios had ridden coasters in. Like, I had ridden coasters in more countries than him when I met him, because I had ridden coasters in both Canada and the US, and he had just ridden coasters in the US at the time. So it was very much like, hey, I had an accomplishment that he didn't at the time, and now he's far surpassed me, having ridden coasters in Europe and Asia, and he's ridden coasters in Mexico before me. Yes, I was still talking about the whole thing with Coaster Studios, and the thing about how many countries he had ridden coasters in when I met him. And also, like, I mean, I went to Cedar Point like 3 weeks before he did his first trip to Cedar Point. So like, there was a time when I had a significant number of credits that he didn't have. But now, like, I mean, the only major credits that I have that he doesn't have are the Lakemont coasters, the Conneaut Lake coasters, and Alpine coasters, basically, at this point. And, oh, and of course, the two in Quebec City. Those are rare credits that I have. The two at Mega Park in Quebec City. Those two are rare credits. How it's over 350. This was Outlaw Run was my 350th. That was fairly recently. And like I believe I'm at 353 exactly now for the exact count. But I've ridden coasters all over the US and Canada. And I'm going to be adding several states to my list. I'm going to be adding another province to my list of places where I've ridden coasters. So that's going to be really fun to be able to do that. And just thinking about it, thinking about about all the way across the country, the one thing that's going to stop every state that I've ridden a credit in from touching, except Florida, but every state that I've ridden a coaster in, the one thing that's going to stop them from touching is the state I currently live in. A state where I can certainly say I've done theme park stuff because I've been to the Great Wolf Water Park. I will have been to Joyland, which, like, they still have the station building from the coaster, and I'll probably have some wood from Nightmare. Nevada and Arizona. I mean, I'll probably make it to Nevada within the next couple years, because like, I mean, everything there is pretty concentrated in Vegas, but basically, like, depending on my, like, I mean, I will say that with the company that hosts Dark Nights, I'm not gonna reveal too much information about it on a live stream, but I will say with the company that hosts Dark Nights, if I end up working another contract with them, say in the winter, because if they would be to have something in SoCal that I could take, then yeah, that's something that I would be doing. But like something in SoCal with housing provided, that's something I'd be doing. I'd probably go to Nevada on that journey as part of it, because, like, I mean, the job that I'm working that has housing provided, I don't know how open things are in the winter with the job that I'm heading out west for. But, like, I mean, at the very least, I know that, hey, my credit count is gonna go up because it's a new region, so that's always exciting. But yeah, like, I mean, I definitely want to get to some of those states that are rare for coasters. Like, well, I mean, I know that I'm going to be able to claim I've ridden something in southern Idaho, because, like, most coaster enthusiasts that go to Idaho go for Silverwood, and like, it's a rare credit if you have the Alpine coaster that's in the southern part of the state. That's along my journey for that's along my planned journey for where I'm eventually headed. Oh, well, that makes sense if it's for his 98th birthday. But also, it's not like there's a ton that's open at this time of year anyway. My rarest credit on the East Coast. Like, I mean, do you consider Hershey Park the East Coast? In that case, Roller Soaker, because that's in the water park. So that's pretty rare, since most coaster enthusiasts didn't get that. So I'd consider Roller Soaker to be pretty rare. I could also talk about Alpine coasters that I've done. Like, I mean, just thinking about what's the rarest credit that I have, like, enthusiasts generally didn't want to go to the water park, so I'd say it's probably Roller Soaker. Like, that's one that I have that, like, like, I mean, I'll ask people who have over 1,000 credits if, like, when talking about their rarest credit, and like, I mean, they generally mention something in some far-off country, like the world's longest coaster, which is in Andorra, which I will get on someday. Yeah, yes, like, I do alpine coasters, and alpine coasters make up the top 10 longest roller coasters in the world. So the longest of which is in Andorra, which is no bigger than a city, but basically it's like, that's really crazy to think about. Andorra is home to the world's longest roller coaster. And like, that's one I will get on someday. One of these days. It's just, it needs to, like, I mean, I can't just do it now, though, because, like, I mean, I have something big that I'm in the midst of, but one day that's something I will do. But, like, I've talked with people who have over 1,000 credits that have ridden the world's longest roller coaster, which is a pretty rare credit. And mine is just roller soaker, is what I say, because, like, I mean, I know that there are several enthusiasts who have rode Conneaut Blue Streak, even though it's still a pretty rare credit to have. And there are, do I have urbex plans? Well, Wichita, definitely. Over the next few days, I'm gonna hit up an abandoned Sears. Like, I mean, I don't want to fuck up too much, because I don't want to have the chance to fuck up too much, because, like, I mean, I want to be able to talk to an attorney about the whole Enchant situation. So I don't want to do too much. I'm a kid at heart that likes urban exploring. If I need to be in the mindset of, I need to be an adult, I need to talk to a lawyer, and I know hearing me say I'm an adult is kind of weird to hear, because, like, it sounds weird to me sometimes. But, like, I mean, my big urbex plans are Joyland and Wild West World. And then, like, I mean, I'm gonna hit up a few places in Kansas City, because, like, I mean, I saw that there is an abandoned Sears, for example. So, like, I mean, yes, I'm gonna hit up the abandoned Sears, which is at a former mall that is not Metcalf South. That, like, it was a mall that is still doing relatively well, but there's an abandoned Sears. There are a few malls that have a few abandoned department stores that I could look at if I wanted to. I'm thinking about doing a day for, like, dedicating a day for that kind of thing, dedicating a day to doing the trolley trail. Like, I mean, like, there are certain, like, I mean, the trolley trail in Kansas City, for context, that's, like, I mean, you've heard of rail trails. The trolley trail follows the path of the trolley line, which, like, I mean, I don't love that they got rid of public transportation to be a more car-centric city. They got rid of a public transportation by rail to be more car-centric, but, like, I mean, I am interested what I could find along the trolley trail. So, like, I mean, I do have some plans to explore some stuff. It's just, I need to get out of my depression funk that I've been in. And, like, this live has been really good for me, actually, in terms of helping me do that. I'm also considering applying for a job at the honey store that I saw was selling their honey at Enchant, actually, and would be ironic if they assigned me to work that event to sell honey, if I ended up getting a job with them, with that honey store, because, like, I mean, that is a company that I'm gonna continue to buy their products, because they're not affiliated with Enchant, so it's something that I can absolutely do and not feel like I'm supporting that sort of thing. Oh yeah, like I mean, one of the things they do, they make chocolate bars that have honey as the sweetener. It's amazing. Like, it's literally one of the best things I've ever found as far as food goes, for find a special food. Getting chocolate bars that are made with honey. It's literally amazing. So, like, I mean, I am thinking about applying for a job with them. I applied for a job with the YMCA, and like, I mean, I don't feel bad about saying I applied for a job with the YMCA, because it's not like me talking about work online with the YMCA is gonna have the potential to cause any problems. So like, yeah, that's basically where I am on that. But like, I mean, I do have, like, I mean, I would not be able to take both jobs, but like, I mean, I know that the certifications that I get for free if I do the YMCA, those certifications will put me ahead of the curve when it comes time to do my job that's on the island on the West Coast, because like, I mean, hey, you're required to have these certifications, and then I'm just ahead of the curve on it. So that would be something that would be good for me. But I am debating potentially reaching out to them. It's Orca's Island is the specific island. It's in the San Juan Islands. So yeah, like that's the chain of islands that I'm going to be living and working on, which will be very fun. I'm going to have to get a unlimited pass for the ferry, which, I mean, I don't care about. They're providing me free utilities and food, so and housing, so it's like any pay is just, hey, do what you need to. This is for anything beyond basic needs, which is really nice about the job that I got, that's how it is. So, like, I mean, I'm really looking forward to when that thing starts. But yeah, I think I am going to end this live stream now. And thank you to everyone who came.